Hello, you're most welcome to the Viral Knowledge channel. My name is Veronica Rose, and today I would like us to talk about remote auditing. How do you approach remote auditing from your end? Have you done a remote audit before? Are you planning to do a remote audit, or have you been doing it but you had no idea what you were doing? So in this video, let's look at the approach on how to conduct a remote audit. So if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. Also share the video so that we ensure that knowledge goes viral. Okay. So a brief background about remote audits is that remote audits are one of the audit methods that we know. It is described in the ISO standard, that is the ISO 19011, 2018 Annex A1. And the value of remote audits is that it resides in the potential to provide flexibility to achieve the audit of, results. Remember, on the traditional audits, we've just been, you have to go to the client site, you have to go physically do the audit on site, and that's all. But with remote audits, they bring in a hybrid way of working. They bring in a hybrid way of auditing or conducting audits. It also, you can also perform the entire audit when you've not even stepped at the client site, but then the audit is still ongoing. So that element of flexibility, I think it's very key when you're speaking about remote audits. So remote audits has quite a number of benefits. Like I've mentioned, you're able to work from anywhere remotely. The way remote work, of course, goes, it's the same way. Just that we are now specifically talking about how to do the audits. So when you're going to conduct a remote audit, I'd like to share with you the approach on how to handle it. One thing is that you have to define the roles. Like any other audit, you have to plan for this audit. You have to have the objectives of the audit, define the scope of the audit, and also to have an entry meeting for this audit so that you define the processes, you define the people responsible, you define the logistics, you define on how everything is going to be conducted ahead of you commencing the remote audit. Because if you didn't have the entry meeting, it is tricky for you to reach out or send an email to maybe the process owner or the key contact person, and they have no idea whether the audit started or not. Okay, so having the entry meeting first is very key in this case. So the entry meeting, in this case, in terms of remote auditing, of course, the entry meeting will be a virtual meeting. Okay. So despite the crisis that we went through, remember 2020 was a year of a kind. It was a special year. There were restrictions related to physical distancing, physical isolation. There were travel restrictions. Of course, safety measures had to be taken to ensure that we are all safe. So are you trying to say that during that period, audits were not being done? Of course they were. Remote audits played a bigger part during the pandemic season. And after then, I think these days auditors only go on site when there is need for you to be on site. So it's not like before that you had to technically be there. So sometimes you only go when you're meeting the audit clients or presenting the report, depends. But now on site is about, it's done on a need-to-know basis or a need basis. And also, when you look at the trends currently, you'll note that emerging technologies have made remote auditing more feasible because, first of all, it allows auditors to communicate with people globally. You're able to conduct audits even in areas you could not even think of conducting audits in. access to information and data, leveraging the data analytics tools so that you're just able to extract data directly from the client system, and then you analyze it, and then at the end of the day, you have the audit results. Well, this is good, though it also has its other technical, of course, issues that will happen in, for example, in some areas, or let's say remote areas, you'll find that access to internet is still a challenge. You'll not be able to maybe to upload amounts of data at a particular time or speculated time as you thought it would happen. But anyway, I would say remote auditing is here to stay. We just need to embrace it and find a way on how to ensure that we leverage the tools that we already have, the technology that we already have, to ensure that we can perform very good audits. So if you use an audit software to do remote audits, that is very good, because it will help you increase the sample size and also the quality of the samples that you take, and also the quality of the work that you're going to deliver. Okay. So, of course, remote auditing leverages use of technology and leveraging the data analytics tools as well. So, remote auditing, for you to have a successful audit, you require use of video cameras. Let's say you needed to supervise a ranch. You'll need cameras, of course, to go around. You may leverage a drone to go around the area, the physical area, the site, and you'll need satellite images. You'll need smartphone. You know, if you're just recording a video, let's say you're trying to view how the server room is set up, someone may just take for you a video, or be able to view the video recordings for the setup of how it is and the security surrounding that. You'll need machinery settings, you'll need storage areas, you'll need production processes. It depends on what you're auditing and where the client site is, okay? So the extensive use of ICT, of course, allows the inclusion of the expertise of the auditor, and also understanding the financial constraints or the financial needs that require you to perform that audit as well. So despite the flexibility in conducting remote audits or conducting audits remotely, we must also consider the limitations related to I've just mentioned network connectivity, fulfilling the actual audit objective, okay? Because you may have limitations related to information security, data protection. If, let's say, you're using a drone and it has to take pictures around the place, probably the client didn't want to share all that data with you. So the data protection aspect comes in. The confidentiality issues of the area or what you're trying to take pictures or videos about. Then the quality of the work as well. If you're just reviewing an already recorded video, and then the information gathered, how valid it is, the timestamps and things related, okay? So when you're conducting the remote audits, you'll have a few questions to be mindful about. One is when you're watching images, are you looking at real-time images, or you're looking at a recording that was done maybe a year ago? How are you able to verify that you're recording or you're viewing or analyzing information in real time, or this is an already recorded content or information? Then can you capture everything about the remote site, or you're being guided by the selected images, okay? When planning for a remote interview, let's say the virtual meetings that you're having with the audit client, is there a stable internet connection? Do the people that you're engaging with know how to use the tool, the collaboration tools that you're using, or any virtual meeting platform that you're using? Is there enough storage for the data that you're being collected from your end? How independent is the person sharing with you that information that you've requested? How is it, how independent is that person? Can you trust them? Can the processes and the sites to be audited be realistically audited offsite? Can you have a good overview of the facility, or maybe you're using a drone? Can you have a clear overview or a clear picture of how that looks like? Of course, it will send you real-time pictures, but are you sure it's the actual site that you're auditing if you've not stepped there? Okay. How can you access all the relevant information that you requested for the audit to be successful? So remember, auditors, we have this thing of remember the doubting Thomas in the Bible? If we haven't seen it, it doesn't exist. So of course, most auditors will want to at least do a physical visit to the site to avoid something we refer to as a detection risk. You don't want to get into that when you're conducting remote audits. So I'd like to share with you some of the best practices that can be adopted to ensure effectiveness when you're carrying out a remote audit. First of all, consider a remote audit when establishing an audit program. Use audit tools that will enable you to accurately, first of all, collect the data, analyze the data, identify the risks in that data, help you make informed decisions or conclusions when you're providing assurance to the client. You will need also to start the remote audit by reviewing, we call it the dirty laundry, the list of complaints, the non-conformances. Let's just call them the inherent risks. You'll have to first of all look at the inherent risks before you even start conducting your remote audits. So this review is it's a good way to determine what processes and production records should be reviewed during your actual audit now. Some people refer to it as interim audits. So you come first, do the first review, and then when you're coming to do the actual audit, then you know where exactly to focus your audits on. When you're issuing your final audit report, the report should indicate the processes that you used. You should indicate the processes that you could not audit while you were conducting the audit remotely, so that in case another audit or another auditor, if in case another auditor comes in, they're able to know, yes, an audit was conducted, it was conducted remotely, but because it was a remote audit, these and such areas were out of the scope, or they were not audited, probably for some technical challenges. So for maybe supplier audits, ensure there's a non-disclosure agreement done or confidentiality agreement done prior to the audit beginning. An example, when you're carrying out penetration tests, of course, you usually sign the penetration acceptance forms. Same case with remote audits. There should be a confidentiality agreement signed because you're going to have access to quite a lot of confidential information. And then remote audits are best done in segments. So this allows time for auditors to review records and generate questions, and the audit client gathers records and also organize for interviews and formulate audit responses to the audit observations. So you will need to segment this process for it to be effective. And then the auditor and the client should practice using of virtual technology ahead of time. If you're using a tool that will directly have to extract data from the client site or client systems, have walkthroughs with the client so that they take you through that process and also take them through the process of how your system is going to integrate with their system and how data is going to be transmitted. And then you will, with remote audits, this needs to be conducted continuously more than the traditional audits. Because for traditional audits, they may be either done annually for purposes of maybe financial constraints. But for remote audits, remember, you're not usually spending much. It's a remote. So you may need to do this continuously to ensure that you provide assurance, real-time assurance. So I would like to wind up this by saying that remote audits are not a one-size-fits-all solution. So it works best when it is kind of hybrid, blended with other types of audits. It's not a one-size-fits-all, so don't base on remote audit and say, me, as we only do remote audits and that's it. No. First, understand the environment, if it's suitable for that, because you may find that the client doesn't have the applications or the technology that will support your audits to be successful. So think of that before you conduct your remote audits. So remote audits are here to stay. Let's be prepared for the bumps ahead on the road, the technical glitches, but we can still conquer this. We can do it. So thank you all for watching. If you want to learn more about remote audits, you can leverage the ISO standards, the ISO. It is ISO 9001 auditing practices. There is also ISO and IAF 2020. You can look out for those standards to learn more about remote audits. And thank you all for watching. Feel free to subscribe, feel free to like the video, feel free to also share the video. And thank you.